freedoms would morally damage them. Hoover's callousness earned him the enmity of the nation's millions of unemployed, who got their revenge by turning his name into an epithet. They dubbed the bleak encampments they erected in parks and under bridges Hoovervilles, and they called the old newspapers they covered themselves with at night Hoover blankets. When Hoover ran for re-election, mobs of jobless men and women showed up at his campaign rallies and pelted his car with rotten eggs. His opponent, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, promised a new approach. Roosevelt's vision of what government should do was so different that Hoover declared the 1932 election was a choice not between two men, but between two philosophies. Hoover's philosophy lost in a landslide in which he managed to carry just 6 states. When Roosevelt took office on March 4, 1933, he charted a new course. That course was determined during the first 100 days of his presidency. The 100 days, as the press would later name the period, began with a remarkable inaugural address. After assuring a despairing nation that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, Roosevelt promised action, and action now. More than his words and his confident manner, it was the flurry of activity he ushered in that raised the nation's spirits. During the 100 days, Roosevelt offered up what the historian Arthur M. Schlesinger, Jr. called a presidential barrage of ideas and programs unlike anything known to American history. Roosevelt shepherded 15 major laws through Congress, prodded along by 2 fireside chats and 30 press conferences. He created an alphabet soup of new agencies, the AAA, the CCC, the FERA, the NRA, to administer the laws and bring relief to farmers, industry, and the unemployed. In an editorial entitled Laws for Everything, the New York Times declared Roosevelt's dizzying pace of accomplishments to be little short of a marvel. The 100 days swept the old order away in quick and dramatic fashion. On Inauguration Day, the nation's banks were teetering on the brink of collapse. Thousands had already failed, and all 48 states had declared bank holidays, preventing more banks from failing by cutting depositors off from their money. Hoover had stood idly by, refusing to intervene. Roosevelt took a more active stance. Within days, he'd declared a national bank holiday and signed the Emergency Banking Act, which immediately put the banking system on a firmer footing. He then delivered a remarkable fireside chat that restored the public's faith in the banking system. When the banks reopened, the public rushed to put money in, not take it out, and the crisis was over. Before the 100 days had ended, he signed a second law, the Banking Act of 1933, which made deeper reforms. When Roosevelt was sworn in, farmers were entering the second decade of their own localized depression. At the end of World War I, commodity prices had plunged so low that for many farmers it no longer paid to plant. Farms were being lost to foreclosure at an alarming rate, and farm families were being thrown off the land. Hoover had made a few halting efforts to address the problem, but his ideology had prevented him from taking more effective steps. Within weeks, Roosevelt had signed a revolutionary new law, the Agricultural Adjustment Act, which increased farm prices by paying farmers not to grow crops. He combated farm foreclosures through the Farm Credit Administration, a new federal farm mortgage program. Roosevelt also brought help to the urban unemployed. Hoover, who believed relief eroded character and encouraged idleness, thought the poor should be cared for by private charity or, as a last resort, by local government. Roosevelt created the nation's first federal relief program, the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, which supported the unemployed with federal money dispensed according to federal standards. He established 2 major public works programs.